So what we're talking about today is what would we do differently if we were starting over? And I think
Mhm.
I love revisiting this conversation. It's not the first time Abby and I have talked about this, but I think it's a really cool lesson, not only in the sense that things aren't that much different now, but the lessons that I even would say to myself 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever, are even sometimes reminders that I need today. And I think
Oh, for
those are
sure.
sometimes the most helpful, crucial lessons because you've technically already learned it. And right now, maybe you just need to be re-reminded, or you need another example of how you can get through that lesson. And hopefully this can help you where you're at also and save you a bunch of time and stress and worry.
Yeah. So to take you back in time, we started as essentially a small marketing boutique. I was doing design and branding, and Emily was doing photography. And when we started working together, it meant we created packages of deliverables that really connected all those pieces. So sometimes it was social media content. Emily was taking photos and stock images for brands. Other times we were delivering website design and incorporating like full on shoots, like lifestyle shoots for the brands we were working with. And instead of using paid stock photography, we were including images that made it just elevated it to a whole nother level.
We
And we
invented stock
revisited one of those
photography.
sites this
Okay.
morning. we invented branded photography. Oh no, we didn't. But this was definitely in the, I would say, early days of that
Oh,
being
yeah.
more common.
This was 2015,
And
2016, guys.
yeah, it was a while ago. But we were serving local small businesses primarily, in both the Kansas City market and the Tulsa market. Definitely more in Kansas City, but it was a really interesting time, and I miss it.
Yeah, I
Some
definitely
days.
miss aspects of it. And I think the cool exercise here is to look back and kind of pretend we have that same business for a second. What are the shifts that we could have taken differently to avoid the burnout, avoid the burning it to the ground and starting over? And it's not that we don't love what we have now, that don't read into that. I freaking love what we have now. And I think and we've said this before, it would be a much different version if we were to try to start the business we have today, right now, and try to replicate it exactly as is. It'd be
Oh, it'd be
really,
really
really
hard.
difficult.
If I were starting over today, this is the way I would do
Yes,
it today, because I literally couldn't make the business I have
exactly.
today
It
anymore.
just would not. Nope.
I just don't think it would cost
Yep.
a lot
But
of
the type of
money.
business that we
And
had
this,
or that we would start today, easy breezy. Not that it's easy to do that business, but it's a
no,
business model that is not going out right now. Like it's a service providing model in a much more intimate, done for you, localized way. Doesn't mean you can't travel
yeah,
to handle clients, but it's almost like you have a brick and mortar that you work out of, kind of thing. So
yeah,
so that kind of
almost,
goes into our
yeah,
first point of, if we were starting over, we definitely would have kept more done for you services. And now this is definitely something over the course of the years, even as we've shifted our model, where I feel like maybe once every year and a half, Abby and I are like, should we integrate done for you services again? Like, is there a way that we should try to work that into how we're even doing stuff right now? And I'm not going to say never, because I have learned that for sure. But it's a little bit bigger shift and pivot if we were to introduce it now versus if we would have just kept honing that back in the day.
sure, sure, for sure. But I definitely think, in terms of creating profit
Yes.
and margin, and having more
Yep.
control over that, so much simpler with services. In the one-to-many model, a lot of your costs is variable, and it's
And
out of your
unpredictable.
control.
I feel
And
like
so
with done for you
unpredictable.
services, if you woke up tomorrow and you're like,
you
you
can
can
create
not only build
consistency for sure.
consistency, but you can also deliberately decide to be like, hey, I want to make extra cash next month or in 3 months or whatever.
Yeah. You can
And you
throttle
have
up and
so
down
much more
as you
control
need.
over that than anything. Like we were literally just chatting with a client yesterday who was like, oh shit, I like throttled and made all my goals. And now I'm like good. So I'm going to build the back end of my business and I'm going to work on my culture and my teams and my systems because I have cushion now to make that happen. Instead of feeling like, if you're a service provider who feels like, okay, but it's the done for you services that are taking all of my time, but I need more time to get more clients because I need more money. We need to talk. So send us a DM over on Instagram.
Yeah, I think there's a cycle that you can get into where it can feel like
Right.
there's no way out and that you have to do something totally different. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true at all. Like we'd absolutely rather edit and tweak than continue to watch you guys painfully
Start
throw
over.
away
Yep.
sometimes decades
Yeah.
worth of experience and try to start over with something new. It's very painful to watch from the sidelines. And I think other people would probably say the same thing about us. Like I don't say this lightly because but truly I am a fantastic designer and you are a brilliant photographer and
Right.
that hasn't changed.
I would need to probably get a camera strap for my wrist because my wrist is super weak these days. I don't know if I could hold it.
Yeah, I mean, we would need to make some accommodations based on our
That's what we were talking about earlier
bodies.
doing our
Like,
styled shoots and the work it took to make that shoot come to like the physical labor. And we were both like, oh, we would need to hire like movers. Like we're just
yeah, if we were to go back and do some of the services, like literally we would need more assistance. We would need, and when I say assistance, I don't necessarily mean like an assistant. I mean like literal muscles
Yeah.
and bodies. Because some of the work we were doing, like a workout.
Yeah.
It was a workout.
Okay, so I want to hear your thoughts. I kind of want us to both very quickly give our own versions of pros and cons into this next thing. And this next thing is also one of those things I feel like comes up every once a year, year and a half as like a should we or should we have or would this work? And the idea is shifting into more of a firm or an agency type model.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is a really natural next step for service providers, and can really be an interesting way to scale that allows you to avoid burnout because you can build a team around you that is skilled and talented and can help you on the deliverable side. And if you decide to, I mean, you can still be involved in client deliverables if you want to be, but with an agency model you do have the opportunity to move more into strategy only or management only. And I think for a lot of business owners, like once you've been doing the creative thought work for so long, sometimes you can start to get in a burnout cycle. But if you can focus on being creative and like using your mind in a different way, in my opinion, it's not as exhausting. Now, are there cons? 100%. I think sometimes I've seen people try to scale this up too fast, and it's really hard to quality control your work at that point. If you're hiring people, like, are they going to represent the way you would do something? Are they going to talk to your clients the way you would talk to your clients? There's definitely an aspect of that can feel scary, because you're allowing other people to represent you in a much bigger way. I also can see sometimes if you do this inappropriately, I've seen people struggle with what is the pricing threshold that is still achievable for the clients I want to work with, but the price I need to charge to support the team that I have. Like sometimes the pricing versus team, it can start to get a little like, ooh, I don't know, like this is pretty premium. Not that I think that's a bad thing, but I think there's some definite like struggles that can come up with that. But if you are looking to scale, and you're in the services realm,
I think
agency-esque
that there are versions that you
versus
can do. And I think my biggest hesitation has been because I'm starting to learn this skill a little bit more. But if you had asked me even maybe 6 or 8 months ago, I probably would have been like, no, because of this hesitation. And it's more so the fact of like having that big of a team or be responsible for that many people and really making sure.
I enjoy working with people a
Agreed.
lot
That's what
more
I
than I
mean.
think I
Like 8 months
realized.
ago, I'd have been like, I don't want to do that. And so that means I would have to do all the work myself and grow it. But I'm now seeing that I am really capable actually of figuring that out, and it feels fun again. But I do want to give you a resource if you are a service-based business owner, even if you're not going to do it, but if you've entertained the idea of what could it look like to have an agency. There's this book, I'm holding it up on our video. It's called Built to Sell by John Warlio, maybe is how you say it. You can find it on Amazon. And don't let the title fool you. You do not have to have any desire to sell your business to get amazing takeaways from this book. I read this book for the first time probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it drastically just like made a couple of shifts in my brain about how I think about our services, our offers, and our company. And if you even think that you might be hiring employees to deliver some of your client deliverables, this is a really amazing book to start getting your headspace in, figuring out your niche and how you frame up your service as a product. It's really about productizing your service, because if you go to sell your business, you need something that can be replicated, but it helps you even if you're not doing that. So